I'm a grown man. I'm supposed to beat you. All right, but it's not about embarrassing you. It's about building that relationship with you. It's about loving you. You can't beat me. Obviously, the second time I beat you.
Real Nathan Daley was on with Kwame. You know, all you hear is, you know, he's a cop and F12 and this and that. Not that the police are going to solve the problem, but it's about restoring their humanity. So when they look at us, they see human, and when we look at them, that there's humanity.
C, do you want to address anything with that, or just kind of his experience overall?
As far as cops engaging with the youth?
Correct. Yes.
And having better relationships, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Because we're talking about changing the culture. I think it would start with the youth and having this dialogue. I happen to believe that police departments and policing policies are against us, obviously. But if we're going to draw a bridge or a connection, it starts with these police officers, I believe, who are on the ground and who you have the ability to establish these relationships with.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, I think that can help. I think that can help. For a while, I was assigned as a truancy officer, so I had to go work at the schools and kind of patrol the neighborhoods to make sure kids were in schools. And a lot of the time, parents and a lot of the teachers on the staff would ask, like, "Hey, you know, do you want to mentor this kid? You know, can you spend an hour with this person today?" And their way of going about it was very. I didn't think it would change much, right? Like how they were trying to do it. They wanted us to spend an hour with one kid, have a conversation, and I just understood that, like, listen, Jay-Z said it best in the song, and he said, like, life starts when the church ends, right? You can go to church, you can be filled with the Spirit, you can hear all the good word of what the pastor has to say, but when you leave that church and you got to walk by the corner where all the guys hanging out, that's when life really starts. So I just feel like absolutely it would help the communities if cops and kids could get together more. The problem that we often run into is just the time to have any significant, in my opinion, any significant results. I think that you have to spend time, right? So there will have to be departments who have the manpower to allow officers to spend time with these kids, to truly, gain their trust and to foster a relationship. Because outside of that, right? And I think that anybody that's a parent would know, right? You can raise your kids, but you're also dealing with, the influence they're getting from school. You're dealing with the influence they're getting from TV. So there's so much influences that people get about the police and their perception that it would work. It just you would need the right amount of time. And I think that's where the struggle would be. How are we going to get the time for these officers to do that instead of being on the street? And honestly, maybe that's something that, I know a lot of counties have school resource officers. Maybe that's something for that type of police department and not the actual police department. I don't know, Dre, Nate, what do you think? Like maybe SRO or somebody like that would be more, better for them to kind of handle that type of relationship.
Dre, what do you thought?
SRO they're put in a bad situation.
Yeah, they are.
Because they are law enforcement officers, but at the end of the day, they work for the schools and they have to abide by the schools. Because many times, remember, we've had to walk up in schools, try to take a student, and the principal, like, you can't arrest, you're going to have to wait for him to be dismissed. You can't pull him out of school, and we end up having to arrest the principal for obstruction. So what it is, like our old department have PAO. They just got an award from the attorney, from the attorney general. The federal for their works. So you have, the police athletic league, but the problem is because the rising crime, a lot of departments can't spare the officers,
right?
Because it's kind of hard for you to sit up there and play basketball in the neighborhood and mentor these kids, and then every 5 minutes you get a call. As soon as you get out your car to even say hello, you got to get back in your car to answer a call. So you're not really getting that face time and that quality time with the youth.
Ooh. Ooh. I got that.
Hey. Ooh.
it works in a rural area where the call volume is like you probably get like 3 calls every hour, where you can do that. But manpower issues, every police department across the United States are fishing out of the same pond. They're contacting they just had on the news the other day here in Atlanta that Chief Shields, who used to be the Atlanta police officer chief, who's now in Louisville, Kentucky, has a billboard recruiting officers to come out there to Louisville.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Atlanta is struggling for officers. Gwinnett County is struggling for officers. DeKalb County is struggling for officers. Clayton County is struggling. Nobody's getting into the field. I remember when we applied, they had like 120 people, on a Friday doing an obstacle course and a physical agility test. They're lucky now to have 12 to 15. Lucky. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to look at it. It's not that we don't want to do it.
Right.
It's just fiscally impossible right now in light of manpower issues. You have officers that can't get a day off because it's always manpower.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's true.
So
I think the community has to take that issue on. The community has to step up. Like this can't just be, we know the age-old saying, it takes a village. We need some good men from the community to step up and to spend time. And I agree. I think the police need to do it as well. I think it's important. I always just think things from a practicality standpoint. Like how do we actually get this accomplished? How do we actually find the time to actually, foster, like I said, some sort of trust with these kids? An hour once a week is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. They're dealing with too much. So
I agree. I agree with that.
Muslim Jedi, salute. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, ya akhi.